After 2 months of traveling, we finally made it to the Florida Keys, only to leave again after a few short days. Marathon by boat with a side trip to Key West on St. Patrick's Day provided entertainment, but there was so much that we didn't do and didn't see. But for now, the plan is to cross Florida Bay to the Gulf of Mexico. This will put us out of sight and farther from land than we've ever been on our boat. No big deal to experienced sailors, but a huge milestone for us. But it's what lies beyond the bay that is exciting. Everglades City, this historic old Florida town, will be a serious change of scenery from Marathon and Key West. Airboats, mangrove thickets, and the chance to see Florida's native wildlife are why we're there.
Hi, I'm Monica and this is Darren. With virtually no boating experience, we decided to sell our house and everything that went with it to buy a boat and live on the water. Together with our dog, Captain Kaja, we're preparing to cast our lines and cruise to the warmth of the southern islands. So climb aboard and come with us as we go seeking adventure.
So we are actually in the middle of nowhere.
We're about halfway between Marathon and Everglades City. So we're in a spot where we can't see land anywhere on the horizons in any direction. That's a first for us.
We picked a beautiful day.
Yeah, a couple good days for this trip. It'll take us 2 days. Once we get over to the mainland in the Everglades, we're going to anchor out.
We do have Plan B, which is Marco Island, to go there and see if there's tours that will take us into Everglades City, which we're assuming that there will be.
So we can see land now, first time in a few hours. Not a real big deal to really experienced sailors, but for us it's a huge thing. First time that we haven't been able to see land when we've been out on the boat. So really cool, but it's starting to come into focus. So kind of bittersweet. It was really fun while it lasted, but I guess the first of many times, hopefully. But now we're pulling up towards the Everglades. That's where we're going to be for the next couple of days. Where are we, Monica?
We just made it into the Gulf of Mexico.
Cool.
That just sounds so tropical and way south and like a far-fetched dream that actually is happening right now. So that is very exciting.
That is. The weather crossing the Florida Bay was perfect, warm with calm winds and smooth seas. What we didn't know at the time, but should have known, was that a small craft advisory had been issued in the Gulf of Mexico with 5 to 8 foot waves predicted.
Here we go again. We continue to make bad decisions. Yesterday was just pristine. Perfect, couldn't have asked for a prettier weather. Everything was just perfect. Today we have winds from the north, which we knew we were going to get, but we did not realize it was going to be so wavy. So because of that, we are looking for an anchorage a little sooner than what we originally had planned. And if we can get to that anchorage in a couple of hours, we should be good to go. We have to be much better at understanding the consequences of what's ahead in order to avoid situations like these. The boat seems to handle it just fine. Nobody is seasick yet, but we are looking out front, and that helps, of course. So having also no internet makes it a little bit more difficult, because I would like to see what the tide is at the different places we're going to potentially anchor. But I don't have internet. We don't have internet out here, so I can't get a hold of anybody.
With protection from the coast and our anchorage in Russell Pass in sight, the wind and waves began to subside. We would spend one night here before venturing up the Everglades Channel towards Everglades City at high tide. One of the better decisions we would make on this trip. Today was the worst day we've had on the water. Yesterday was the best day that we've had on the water. And when we looked at the weather, it really looked like we were going to have a decent day today. I mean, it was north wind, we knew that, but yeah, it wasn't supposed to be blowing quite so hard. But I mean, I think we probably had about 5-foot waves in the Gulf. We're about 4 miles offshore, and yeah, pretty horrible. Yeah, I mean, the only positive was that the autopilot worked flawlessly, so we didn't have to try to hand steer through that gale that we just came through. So that was the one real positive of the day.
Papa, how's your experience been so far?
Very good. Best of the best.
You're not worried?
No, absolutely not. I've been seaman for 10 years, so I have been through weather which has become much worse than this.
He has full confidence in us.
He's not worried about the weather. He didn't say anything about confidence in us.
That's too interesting.
Kan du hjälpa mig liksom lite? Fortell mig lite inemellan.
Vilken den? Från koppartågen, den.
Oj, det var därför. Fy fader. Du.
We woke up to a beautiful sunrise and the promise of a new day. We waited a few hours for the tide to rise before setting off on the final push up to Everglades City. The narrow channel is very shallow in spots. More than once the depth sounder told us that we had less than 1 foot of water under our boat. It was a very nervy passage. We shouldn't have been worried about finding a slip in Everglades City. We might have been the only liveaboard boat in the city when we were there. The two main marinas are the Rod and Gun Club and Everglades Isles, a combination upscale recreational vehicle neighborhood and marina. We stayed at Everglades Isles at the very end of the Everglades Channel, past Bear Island and right across from Captain Jack's airboat tours. Captain Kaja had been looking a little shaggy of late and admittedly hadn't had a bath in over a month. Surprisingly, she still didn't appreciate it when we put her in the tub. Kaja is definitely the most popular member of the crew. Wherever we go, she quickly becomes the center of attention. Sometimes it feels like people say hello to us only as a means to get to her. She has become used to strangers scratching her head and rubbing her tummy. A little odd when you think about it. Because of all of this, it's important to stay clean. And by the time she got out of the tub and shook off, she had already forgiven us for giving her a bath. She is truly a great boat dog. The Rod and Gun Club is the first thing you see when you arrive at Everglades City by boat from the Gulf of Mexico. The foundation for the building was set in 1864, and the furnishings and decorations inside the club take you back to that period. 5 former U.S. presidents, Ernest Hemingway and John Wayne, are just some of the well-known guests who have stayed at the club. Although we didn't dock Sea Star there, opting for a floating dock at the Everglades Isles Marina, the Rod and Gun Club have room for transient boaters. Additionally, there are many cabins on the property for guests to rent for extended stays. It's a little dark, and I don't want to sound like I'm an old man complaining, but like I can't see any of the writing on the wall.
Hey, newsflash.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
You're a little bit old.
I know it's me and not them. I get it, but it's still some of the newspaper clippings about the history of the place look really interesting, but I just can't read them.
We are currently docked in Everglades Isle Marina, and it is a really cool place to be. The one thing though that I hadn't really considered so much is how shallow it is in the river coming up to Everglades City. And right now we were at low tide 30 minutes ago, and my eyes are glued on our depth here that you can see is currently down to, was dancing between 0.6 and 0.8. We have some of these airboats going by and creates a little bit of movement in the water. So at lowest I've seen so far is 0.6. That's from the bottom of where our keel is. So hopefully it'll stop. I keep looking out, waiting for the water to stop rushing going out, because we are at low tide, and as soon as it stops we'll be at slack tide, and then the current will turn and then it should start filling up again. I just keep waiting for more water.
Airboats have always been a way of life for many people in the Everglades. As the only means of transportation through the swamp, they were vital for those that lived here, and later for people traveling to the region to hunt and fish. Now, they're used primarily by eco-tourists and thrill seekers to get into and out of the swamp safely. We had a steady stream of airboats pass by Sea Star every day that we were moored at Everglades Isles Marina. From early morning to late in the afternoon, they would pass, filled with people. No complaints though. It's big business for the locals, and clearly enjoyed by their customers. But airboats weren't for us. We decided to take our dinghy into the swamp. Following the path of the tourist boats, we ventured in search of alligators, panthers, and pythons. We didn't see any. We did see one raccoon and several osprey. It was a great trip. The Everglades are actually a long, slow-moving river originating in Lake Okeechobee. It eventually forms a 60-mile-wide waterway that is over 100 miles long, stretching to Florida Bay. The Everglades are the only place in the world where crocodiles and alligators occupy the same habitat. Saltwater crocodiles live in the coastal regions, while alligators occupy the freshwater. We enjoyed our time in the Everglades immensely. It was especially nice for Monica to get to show her parents such an amazing American treasure. It also meant so much to her to have the opportunity to host them on Sea Star. It was their first visit to the States since we sold everything and moved on to the boat 1 year ago. But it doesn't take long for us to start to feel restless and feel the urge to move again. We're heading to Marco Island on Florida's southwest coast. It will be the last stop we make before we rent a car and drive Monica's parents back to Miami for their flight home. We'll miss their company and their help, and look forward to their next visit and more adventures together.